So that you just did with that verse is deception and error.
They did prove that we are the only habitable planet amongst many.
No. And that's a mistranslation because the actual...
It's always a mistranslation when it doesn't
Hebrew
fit
word,
your side. It's always a mistranslation.
And that's a fact.
And that's not a fact.
Then you're deceived. All right?
If me being deceived means I believe in a spherical earth, I'm deceived, and you can just go ahead and leave and cancel this debate right now because you're not going to convince me what the Bible clearly says. The earth is not flat, 1,000%, and if I got people in our church that think it is, that's great. I love you, but if you want to go to his little service in the morning, then go to his service in the morning. It's not going to bother me one bit. The earth is not flat. It was disproven 2,500 years ago. You can't show me one verse in the Bible that proves that the earth is flat. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. We're not going to get anywhere else because here's the problem. You use 2 hours of PowerPoint presentation and your people are quiet. I use an hour and 15 minutes of the Bible and they get mad and start throwing maters and taters at me. Okay?
All right, so here's the deal. Let me just say this, and I'm walking out now. But I want to say this. Oh, listen, your folks are standing up yelling, go, get out. Okay, you know what? That's fine with me. Here's the deal. I gave you the scriptures. He gave you his version.
It's always somebody else's version.
Hold on. No.
This is nonsense.
You came up with your scriptures and gave your interpretation of them. I gave mine.
I gave you the Bible interpretation.
I gave you the Bible. I gave more Bible than you did, for a fact, right there. All right.
Oh, really?
That's a fact.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about in your rebuttal, I'll keep my mouth shut and you tell me how wrong I was about your misapplication of the ring stamping in Job chapter 38.
First of all...
Hello? Is it sunrise or not?
Not at all. I don't agree with you.
Turn his mic off. Get out.
Wow.
You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. That is ridiculous. Bible denier. Just get out. Get the band up here. Woo! Let's worship the Lord. I ain't putting up with this nonsense no more. I gave you our platform. And y'all want to get up here with a bunch of nonsense. Come up here, band. Let's worship the Lord. We're going to actually do something spiritual in this room tonight instead of talk about flat earth nonsense. And by the way, if you go to this church and you're upset about me taking the Bible in its context and dealing with it, and you're going to keep sowing that discord, don't ever come back. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not listening. It's a last day's deception. I do not care if this is a UFC smackdown to the mat. I would highly suggest that people keep their mouth shut, get in their car, and go where they need to be. We'll see you at 10:30 in the morning. We're going to have a packed house, and we're going to preach what...
All right, so these guys took a long time to talk, so I'm not going to take as long, but I just kind of go through a couple notes that I made while they were talking. I thought they were going to start a fight there at the end. First, I want to say Greg Locke complaining about his audience being a little loony and that he might lose friends over this or made friends mad. You want to know why I'm doing this on a channel like this? That's just good content. First, I'm going to get to Dean Odle, some things. So he mentioned unicorns are real. I would really like more information on that. I would also note the biggest applause he got, one of the biggest applause he got was when he noted they were literally in a tent while he was describing a tent in one of his verses. I mean, I don't know what he's talking about there, but that's, and the audience getting like worked up about it, like that, it's not proving anything. The conversion videos that he used at the beginning, I thought he did some good choices there, bringing in some atheist conversions. Oh, what is going on here? This is Facebook taking over. Just ignore that in the background. Yeah, so I thought that was a good touch. Nice touch using some atheist conversion videos from Denmark even. I threw in the guy from Denmark. That's pretty good content there. He spent a lot of time talking about, or a little bit, one of the main points he made, the earth is like a terrarium. And that was even in one of the conversion videos I noticed. I would just say the world is actually worse than a terrarium. At least if a terrarium breaks, the environment that the creatures inside the terrarium are used to won't just, suffocate and die in the vacuum of space. So that's a strange logic to be using that. And by his own logic there, wouldn't it, if you think about the world as a terrarium, if we're in this dome, wouldn't it be like we will never actually be free until we break out of that terrarium? We are in an enclosed space in this model. So our goal should be to break out of it, I would think. But of course, that only works if you're thinking of a dome. Some other points. The heliocentric people, this is old language. So they kept going back to heliocentric. It's the whole model where, of course, the Earth revolves around the sun. Yeah, okay. But this is old thinking, old language. We know, solar systems orbit the black hole, galaxies form superclusters, galaxies in some cases rotate around each other. So just the heliocentric thing, focusing on that, it just shows you the old thinking, the old language. It's not updated. I don't know. I said my piece on that. What else? Oh, he started with Genesis. I'd just like to point out, Genesis story is pulled from earlier creation myths, mostly Sumerian. Some other notes. Oh, the floods, the global flood. And this is from Dean Odle's, hour and 45-minute long, his little section. Floods. Most earlier civilizations were in river valleys. So, of course, there is going to be flood stories common throughout the world. All the earlier civilizations began in the fertile river valleys. That's the most fertile ground that they would stumble upon. You're not going to start a civilization in the desert. You need water. So that's all the earlier civilizations began. That's where the global floods come from. Just like little notes. This is not necessarily, the global flood, he was making the point that the water came from above and below, all that stuff. So yeah, there's the big thing, a lot of circular referencing, pointing to the Bible. The Bible proves that the Bible is true, which it's, that's a classic point made by atheists. But in this, they promised they were going to prove or pull from the Bible. So I appreciate that they did that. So in a lot of states, they started off with a lot of science references, technology, using technology to try to prove it. No, they said they were going to stick to the Bible. They said this is going to be creationist biblical debate. Let's hear from the Bible. So I did appreciate that. They stuck to that in a lot of their points. A lot of focus on the firmament. And I do like the idea that the firmament is heaven. At one point, he said that the firmament means heaven, and then later he defined it as beaten plates. So a little confusion on that. He also said that the throne, the throne, the firmament was laid out before the throne. But also the waters are on top of the firmament. So is the throne in the water? Are we talking about Atlantis on top of the firmament? Like, there's a lot of confusion on that. I don't know if that's fully thought out. This model has got a lot of problems, obviously. But, and also so the throne is sitting on this dome, on this circular base. Like, hopefully God's throne doesn't, slide off into the nothingness below. I don't know how that works. Maybe he's got it screwed down to the plates, or the clear plates. I don't know. Claims the Bible never calls the earth a ball. Oh yeah. So again, pointing to the Bible, to circular referencing. Maybe that was a joke. Missed the joke there. Nothing escapes the heat of the sun, although 6 to 8 feet down in the earth, the temperature is the same year round. Just a little point that's not really, important. Why did God have to stamp the earth? Why couldn't he just manifest it out of thin air? It seems like, to me, this is like human thinking, doing a lot of extra work to explain something that, God, all powerful, he can just manifest this out of nothing. Why go through all the work of creating the stamp and stamping the clay? I mean, it's just very strange. But again, to me, it's just humans thinking about how this might be created. This is a great way to explain it. It makes sense to them, wax with the stamps. I do like that imagery. It's just, to me, if you have this all powerful God, why the extra steps? It's a lot of extra work. Now moving on to Greg Locke. He thankfully spoke a little bit less. What was it, like an hour and four? It was still over an hour. I could tell people who were definitely tired at his point. At that point, they were wanting to leave. There was not a lot of crowd involvement when he started speaking, until he got into some of his later on. He was really getting people fired up towards the end, but he was definitely started off slow. You could tell people were tired and ready to get out of there. And I will say, if Dean came into this hoping to break some of his congregation up, he may have, if that was a strategy, it might have worked for him. It sounded like I don't know how many people in the audience were from Dean's congregation. I don't know how any of that dynamics was working out, but you could tell Dean had, especially towards the end, the flat earth had a lot of support in the crowd. I will say that. One weird thing Greg was talking about, I think it was in reference to, Jesus didn't die for any other reasons except for the salvation of humanity. He said, made some comment maybe that Jesus didn't die for birds and all this stuff. I say, maybe Jesus should have died for birds. That's just a nothing kind of throwaway comment, but something I'd never thought about before. Maybe he should die for birds. Okay, so Locke asks, what mountain was Jesus standing? Oh yeah, this is definitely the funniest moment from Greg Locke's time. So Locke is asking, what mountain was Jesus standing on that he could see the entire world? Guy in the crowd says North Pole. Greg Locke says, we're talking about Jesus, not Santa. Great joke, spur in the moment, right off the cuff. You can tell why he's got the audience that he has. He's a pretty funny guy. So he stressed different models of the creation. At the beginning, that was one of his main points throughout his entire speech, stressing different models of the creation. That the whole thing. Why are they even doing this? Why does it matter? If the earth is flat or not? Doesn't it at all? This is all about Jesus and the dying for our sins and all that stuff. What I thought of when he said that is, what about pandeism? So if you don't know what pandeism, this is a deistic thought that God does not intervene. And a lot of the founding fathers in America, I don't know how many people are left that are from America. Founding fathers were all deists. That means they do not believe in a God that intervenes in the world. And the pandeism model is that God actually creates the world by becoming it. That is, so he lives in nature. This is why you have a lot of spiritualists, naturalists, and deists. It is a deist thought, but not all deists think God created the world by becoming it. They just think that God is everything. They don't really subscribe to a creationist view in that way. But pandeism is that God created the world by becoming it. Why does that model not work in a creationist worldview? Well, because that's not a theist worldview. So, of course, neither of these congregations are deist at all. And I thought it was interesting that Locke wasn't sure how his congregation would react to what he said, to what he would say. Like he hadn't, I don't know, he hadn't prepped them with a lot of this. So it's interesting to see that there may be some disagreements, a lot of disagreements by the sound of it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, how this is going to play out. And that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for, this is obviously, I was just playing the Facebook broadcast of this. I queued it up here. I just felt kind of compelled to. I had no idea it was going to take 4 hours, but here we are. I sat through the entire thing. Those are my notes on it. Thank you for watching. This is the Today's Today channel. I usually don't do live streams like this, but maybe we'll see it, be doing it more and more. Anyway, that's it from me, and perhaps I'll see you all in the future. Thanks for tuning in.